Or if the bomb that drops on you gets your friends and neighbors too, there'll be nobody left behind to grieve, and we will all go together when we go. What a comforting fact that is to know.
Hello and thank you for watching the John Doe Prepper channel. I am your host, John A. Whitman, and you're watching part 2 of my little winter combat gear mini-series. In today's video, I'm going to be going over the U.S. Army surplus extreme cold weather gear, specifically for your hands and feet. And then in part 3, which will take a while because I just recently ordered these items and they're going to take a bit to actually arrive. But part 3 will be about the sort of insulated underlayers that go underneath the camouflage oversuit that I went over in part 1 of this mini-series. But on to today's topic. These are U.S. Army surplus extreme cold weather mukluks and extreme cold weather trigger finger mittens with their lovely little white covers. You can see I've gone ahead and disassembled one of the mittens so that you can actually see all the constituent parts. So starting with those mittens, these start off with this little wool insert. These are ambidextrous, so they will fit on either the right or left hand. Doesn't really matter which one you put where. If I can get this on one-handed. Great camera work, as you can see, as is typical with my phenomenal videos because I'm a great YouTuber. Just fits on like that. Normally you would not have your trigger finger in its actual separate little finger there, just because it keeps that finger warmer to have it in with all the others in the actual mitten part. So just something to be aware of, that you're not technically supposed to have your trigger finger in there all the time. It's supposed to stay with the others to keep warm, and then you only stick it up in there when you actually need to fire your weapon. But the nice thing with this system is that if it's just like mildly cold out, like say it's the fall or something, you can wear just this wool liner on its own. Like this is just a little wool mitten in and of itself. But of course what it's kind of primarily meant for is to be worn inside of this lovely water-resistant canvas mitten with its very soft, very supple, I believe this is sheepskin leather palm. Now, both the mittens and the mukluks kind of differ slightly from your sort of typical civilian cold weather gear. Typically with civilian cold weather gear, your sleeves go over your gloves or mittens and your pant legs go over your boots. With this system, it's the exact opposite. And you can see that with the mittens. The cuff here is flared out and it is elasticated at the bottom here. And it's that feature is carried over onto the white mitten covers. The cuff is flared and elasticated because it's meant to go over the sleeves of your gear rather than inside the sleeves of your gear. And the same is true of the mukluks. The top here has these laces for you to tighten these down over your trousers. So just something to kind of be aware of. It's a little bit different than just like regular old civvy snow pants and boots or whatever. On that same note, talking about the boots, these have no real insulation except for the insoles, which are like an inch, like a solid inch of just pure wool. So you're going to have to either put like boot liners in these or just wear like several layers of socks or something inside of these, because just the boots alone are not necessarily meant to keep your feet warm. They're just meant to keep your feet dry, while the other layers underneath the boots are what actually keep your feet warm, which is part of the reason why, again, these are meant to go over your trousers, not inside them, because they're more designed to help keep the snow out of your boots and out of your trousers. But moving back to the mittens, you can see with this one on the that I have set up for my right hand, the white cover here has this little slit that you stick the trigger finger of your mitten through when you are ready to fire your weapon. But because it's kind of a fiddly thing, I went ahead and stuck the finger through there, and I just keep it out like that on the right hand mitten. On the left hand one, obviously not as big of an issue because I'm not a left-handed shooter, but so for that one I just keep it inside. But on this one, I went ahead and just stuck it through beforehand so that I don't have to worry about fiddling with that in the moment of truth. If your killer instincts are not strong, you will hesitate. But inside here, it's literally the same thing as this. I just keep these all together normally, like a kind of like a Russian nesting doll. The way I do this, because it'd be kind of fiddly to just try and stuff them in there, I literally put the liner on my hand with my trigger finger in there. Then I just pull the mitten up over that like another glove, and then I just pull this cover on over that like a third glove. Instead of trying to sit here and like, oh, let me see if I can stuff this in like that. No, that's stupid. Don't do that. Just put it on your freaking hand and just, like I said, put it on like you're putting on like 3 separate layers of gloves, basically. But for those of you who, like, obviously this one is plain olive green, but for those of you who run M81 Woodland, you can get these mittens with M81 Woodland fabric instead of just plain OD, if that's your thing. If you run M81 and your tactical gear TISM dictates that any gear available in M81 that you own must actually be in M81, you're welcome. That exists. These mittens are really well insulated, so with these you don't need any extra, unlike the mukluks, like these you need like socks or liners, or like I said, to actually stay warm while wearing these. These are obviously not like that. This wool is just meant to keep you warm. It's also meant to absorb sweat, but this is also actually insulated and meant to keep you warm. So with these, you don't really need anything extra, right? But with these, as I said previously, you do. The only part of these that's actually insulated is the very sole, which you can see there by pinching it. The actual sole is only about that thick. So the rest of this thickness that I'm squishing down on is those wool insoles, which for some reason, both of these they don't have just one solid insole. It's 2 like 1/2 inch thick insoles stacked on top of each other. Don't really know why that's the way they went about doing it. Maybe it just makes it so they're easier to dry out, but yeah, probably not going to be able to see them in there. But let me just see if I can pull them out, actually, just in case somebody, because there's always that one dude on the internet who thinks that you're BSing unless you actually show what's there. There's the insoles, just regular old plain gray wool, and they're just stacked on top of each other like so at the bottom of each boot. But yeah, this is fairly decent gear for the prices that I paid for it, in my opinion. The mittens with the white covers were like $25, which is actually really freaking good for what you're getting, especially when a lot of civilian mittens that would be rated as well for cold weather, especially extreme cold weather, as these are typically really, really pricey. Getting these for only $25 and having the capability to actually use your weapon systems with the mittens on is pretty rad. As for the mukluks, I bought these. There's finally an actual surplus store in my local-ish area. And I got these from there for about like $50 in like new condition. Like you can see they've been used a little bit, but or at least I think you can. Maybe that's I don't actually think that's like staining from dirt. I think that's staining from or discoloration from the sealant that they painted on there to stick the rubber on. So maybe these were actually just never issued. I don't really know. But either way, they're in really good condition, even if they were issued. And like I said, they were $50. And I think they are kind of the same thing. I think these are superior to a lot of like civilian winter boot options in a lot of ways. These, in my experience, tend to kind of hug my feet a little bit more closely. They're not like these big, you know, clompy, like Ugg boot looking frickin' things like a lot of civilian winter boots are. I did originally consider getting the Canadian mukluks because they're kind of like this, but they're actually insulated, integrally insulated, and they come in pure white. So they would be kind of like this. They would be nice and camoed up for winter use. But I had the opportunity to get these for $50 right now and just have them in my hand versus paying like $85 to $90 for the Canadian ones and waiting like 3 weeks for them to ship. And it's a good thing I did get these because like not even a month after I bought these and decided the Canadian mukluks were no longer necessary, the Canadian Postal Service decided to go on a nationwide strike, so I wouldn't have been able to have gotten those ones anyway. But kind of a bit of a tangent there. To kind of sum up the whole point of this, if you live in a country that has cold weather, especially in the winter, your military probably has cold weather gear very similar to this, and it's probably pretty dang good for whatever price it's being sold for. So, in my opinion, one of the best ways to get at least some winter combat gear for a good price is to look at your own military and get their surplus if you have cold winter weather in your neck of the woods. And if you don't, then just kind of get whatever's cheapest, but not crap. At least if you're a prepper on a fairly tight budget like I am. Obviously, if you have the money to buy like, you know, super Gucci, you know, stupid $500 extreme cold weather, you know, Mickey Mouse boots or whatever that are brand new and have all sorts of features you'll never use. If you have the money for that, where you can do that in a financially responsible way and you want that, great, go do that. Most people, however, do not. And so for those people, such as yours truly, this, in my opinion, is one of the best options that you're going to get. So with that all being said, I hope you all found this video at least somewhat entertaining, if not perhaps a bit educational. And I will catch you all in the next video on the John Doe Prepper channel. If you like what you see, please consider subscribe my channel. It very much helping with the algorithm. Thank you very much. Goodbye.
We will all go together when we go, all suffused with an incandescent glow. No one will have the endurance to collect on his insurance. Lloyds of London will be loaded when they go.